Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As I about to title today's video, we're here for Rate My Build Day 1 edition as far as the builds go. So these are for people that created their build on the first day of the game, and we're here to look back at how bad or how good maybe they executed on stuff like that and predicted the future, or in another sense, maybe listen to better advice than worse advice. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I had the game early and I gave the best advice that I possibly could. I think I kind of touched on a lot of good things as far as the badge tiering and stuff like that, between the 6.9s to 6.10, 6.11s and stuff like that, but I did miss on a good bit. For instance, didn't really know 6'1" guards are gonna be super broken and have extra attribute caps. There's a lot of stuff that really went over my head, and a lot of others as well. And that's why maybe our day 1 builds weren't exactly the best. But I'm here to just showcase this, and I hope you guys enjoy. It's more for content's sake. So I liked about 15 of these, that of like the 40 that were submitted, just ones that I actually thought had some like explanation on them and what they wanted to do with it, and just their maybe regrets about what they put on it and stuff like that as well. Didn't really list any of the ones where they didn't have explanations as far as the builds and what they wanted to do with it. But anyway, we're gonna get straight into this. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, for the drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try us one to 2,000 likes. So we got Gibson right here first and foremost. This is my day 1 shooting guard build. The main idea was to be a spot up in the rec. Played it for only half of season 1, then stopped and got back on it again at season 3. So first of all, as you can see by the height, not really a meta height in the game, just in general, 6'6" is a bit tough. Not to mention the fact that he only went with like a lower ball handle of 80 anyway, and didn't really even capitalize off it by having super elite speed like you could on a 6'6" in the first place. So a really tough build to start off with, if you ask me. If you were a 6'9", you could achieve all these exact same ratings right here, but have better badge tiering, and not to mention really only lose out on about, I think, 2 speed would be 83, and you could absolutely get that. And then I think like 4 acceleration would be your real like loss. So he did, however, for a day 1 build, get 75 speed with ball, which would give you that Michael Jordan dribble style. On top of that though, as you can see, he only has 80 driving dunk and 80 driving layup, which gets you 13 finishing badges, and that is not enough for limitless takeoff on silver. Obviously, you need 3 more finishing to be able to get that. I'm assuming he did that potentially though, and if that is the case, then it would be a pretty solid build overall. It's nothing amazing, but it's definitely something probably more serviceable than you will see throughout the course of this video. But nonetheless, just a quick dropping, 3-point shooting, and decent ball handling build with mediocre defense, essentially. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is a pretty tough build. Also, by the way, I only liked ones that in revision I thought looked pretty reviewable, but I forget what all of them look like now, so we're going to go through as like a kind of live reaction to some of these. Yes, I've seen it before, but very, very much so don't remember what I saw. But anyway, we got my boy Dame Got Game right here. As you can see, he says, feel free to roast me. It honestly did serve me really well for season 1 though. Obviously, in hindsight, a lot of it needed to be revised. I ran this at the big in 3s. So we have 88 block, which gives a silver anchor. Only 89 rebounding, which doesn't really hit any real important threshold or anything like that. I would say the next one would be like 85 you could go down to, or up to like 93 or 94 for the rebound chasers. The speed, pretty good for a 6'10". Obviously the strength and vertical, pretty solid as well, not to mention the 93 driving dunk on a 6'10", which in essence does give you a pretty good badge tiering, if I remember correctly, where you maybe get limitless takeoff and slippery in both tier 1 and tier 2. Really unfortunate as far as the layup and pass accuracy go though. I made this exact same mistake on my 7-footer, or 6'11", I believe it actually was, the Giannis build. I gave it 70 pass accuracy with, I believe, 86 driving layup instead of like, or maybe it was 87 even actually. I was 1 short of long athlete, or 2 short of long athlete, and it was so troll, really, really bad. I'm gonna be honest, that was probably the biggest mistake I've made all year, is to do that exactly, where I went with the 70 pass ac and didn't get that 75 for LeBron style, and then also with the driving lay, not reaching that long athlete. If you were gonna be a big, like I said, I think 80 driving layup is plenty acceptable when it comes to being a 6'9" and below, because then you can get things like the Zach LaVine, or just other good like layup packages like Jelly and stuff like that too. But nonetheless, still has pretty solid 3-pointer. He's 2 short of Silver Agent 3, which does kind of suck too, but I don't even know if you can get that on a 6'10" with max wingspan either. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty big wingspan for how little the defense is too. But nonetheless, like I said, we all don't really know what we're doing in the moment, and in revision definitely has quite a few adjustments. Definitely would not go with that 38 steal rating either in retrospect. I'm sure how he ended up kind of feeling on this build is that it's just a liability in the park early on. I mean, people just eventually started running that 6'9" kind of rim run ISO and like shoot the ball from the top and stuff like that, and this probably would have a hard time, to be honest with you, if you ended up being the ball defender, because this low of steal rating is so frustrating to go at when it comes to just like guarding ball or just being on the court in general. Not being able to intercept the passes very viably. But nonetheless, good standing dunk. solid close shot as well, and then the 93 driving dunk for the gold posterizer. I do like it as far as the finishing and stuff goes. It just is missing a bit when it comes to the defense, and probably could use a little bit better or worse rebounding. 85 or 93 is where I'd like probably threshold that as well. Next up, we got Easy Dubs. He actually says he still likes using this build, and I will say it is also 2 ratings short, or 3, as you can see right here. If he ended up putting the sleeve on, that gives him 1 more steel rating. 3 ratings short of the Interceptor being on silver at 78, and then also 75 block is pretty good for that gold chase down. Also, I do like kind of his physicals a little bit. I would say the 82 speed, 80 acceleration does look good. I'm not a huge fan of the strength, personally. That's just my kind of take on it. So somehow he ended up getting his finishing badges to 17. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this equals a 17 finishing badge count. I'm assuming he put some extra badges on to be able to get so. It also would have been nice to maybe get 1 more standing dunk so you can get a package, maybe even 45 as well for the 2 really decent packages that can pop stuff off. The 67 close shot, plenty fine. The driving layup, honestly, you have to be a pretty niche style to even want to do stuff like this with the 80, like the Zach LaVine layup package and stuff. 89 ball handle, at least he knew to go with the 6'8" with 89 ball handle for the Hall of Fame quick first step. That's really the whole point of going 6'8", in my opinion, is in comparison to the 6'9", to be able to get that Hall of Fame quick first step. Debatably is also to get steal rating higher, but either way, he went with 92 3-pointers, so you couldn't even get that steal rating to like 95 like you would if you went with the max wingspan. But regardless, the physicals look pretty solid. He did enough to get pro contact dunks as well. 92 3-pointer for the gold limitless. 89 ball handle for, again, that Hall of Fame quick first step, and then 86 plus perimeter defense for all the good defensive badges that you can still get with that. Not to mention the badge count being 15, 22, 23, and 17. One downside being, I'm assuming he probably had this problem as well, where if you end up with that 15 defensive badge count, you can't really run a lot of the important defensive badges like you would on a 6'9". That is one of the real amazing things about being the 6'9" in this year's game. And I did see a lot of people from the community day suggest the 6'8" builds. I was a big hater of them from day one, to be honest with you. I didn't like the fact that the finishing badge tiering and the defensive badge tiering was so absolutely horrid. I really was a huge hater of it, to be completely honest with you guys. And I do mention, and I do recall that I really said that this year's game was going to be meta for 2 locks to be 6'9". It was a vision that I had already off the fact that adrenaline was a thing, so you could use your defensive adrenaline as a team in a unit, as far as like, you know, using that first adrenaline, then the other person uses that first adrenaline and stuff like that. And not to mention, it just felt like it was going to be a really sides heavy, switch heavy game, in my opinion. And I didn't really predict the offensive abilities of the 6'9", but the defensive, 100%. All right, next up we got Air J. He says, here for the critique, lots of great thresholds, too much stock and strength, but honestly makes up for the low perimeter defense, good box out / off ball cutoffs. Some people crash into me and I just drop the ball, often season 1 in parentheses. Lob catches, missing more acceleration in Hall of Fame unpluckable. Offense is fire, standing dunk is insane. Okay, so we have, sorry, this is a little bit zoomed out right here. I don't really enjoy reviewing people's screenshots when it's like taken off camera, essentially, but it looks like 94 ball handle, 83 pass act, 92 3-pointer, 86 dunk for the gold limitless takeoff, which is a good threshold, 80 driving layup, also a good threshold. Good for this, like the close shot, the standing dunk as well. Again, really good as far as the shooting goes. And honestly missed a little bit of the threshold when it comes to pass act. Not to mention, in retrospect, 95 ball handle, like he said, for the Hall of Fame unpluckable is very nice to have. Could have definitely dropped off the speed with ball, and as he probably mentioned as well, more acceleration. Probably didn't really need to have speed super high, and strength on a 6'3" is a little bit suspect, as he mentioned too. And again, to have no defense in retrospect kind of hurts in this year's game too, because you run into so many 6'9" that will just target you in the paint, and if you can't protect yourself with a steal rating, that definitely sucks. But again, in retrospect, it's all 2020, but obviously we know now, like that is a tough time to have that low of a steal rating. Anyway, next up, we got Exquisite right here. Number 1, don't know why I made it 6'6" power forward. 2, defense was lacking pretty bad. 3, I didn't need that high of a speed with ball, but at the time we didn't know. I absolutely agree with that. Like, again, we didn't really know anything about this. The 6'6" height, very interesting as well, not to mention, like he said, made it a power forward. At the end of the day, some people at the beginning of the game just pick whatever height they like the most as far as like what sounds best and what they just see as their image, essentially. But as you can see, he has 80 dunk, 72 driving layup, and then also like the 58 close shot. Badge count also reached 16, which once again gives you that limitless takeoff on silver, which everybody seems to know about, and I'm glad people knew about that from day one. Not gonna lie, from a personal perspective, don't like that, but they're at least smart for doing it. I'll say that much. 89 3-pointer for the Agent 3 on gold. Makes a lot of sense to do. It was one of the best thresholds in the game that I was recommending early on as well. 89 or 92 is pretty much what I was saying off rip. And as you can see, he definitely executed on that. Mid-range, solid. Pass accuracy, 80. It seems a lot of people went for that 80 threshold, which in retrospect actually is pretty good. I do like that 85 a little bit more though, but at the end of the day, when you're budgeting about stuff, you definitely need to make a couple corner cuts here and there. As you can see, his defense, not exactly the greatest, especially for being a 6'6", so you probably can't even run a lot of important defensive badges. 80 Prim D, 52 interior, 68 steal, which also is pretty tough, and then 72 block, which also is missing on that gold chase down threshold as well. My only thought is maybe he made it a power forward for the title of the build name. Face up is more of like a power forward thing, like face up 4 essentially, but anyway, as you can see, it says playmaker. 16, 23, 25, and 15 for the badge counts. It's a decent build. It's nothing to really like go crazy about on either end of the spectrum between like really good or really bad, but you can make the argument it's a pretty mid build as far as all that stuff goes in retrospect. All right, we got one time up next right here. Made this day one build and thought it was it. Went for only layup because if I remember correctly, people were saying layups were OD. It is true. Layups are still super crazy. And yes, we all know now quick drops. And we already knew quick drops were crazy from last year too. But I don't even hate the idea of the whole no dunk build. Honestly, driving layups are insane in this game even still if you're small enough. Now, this build, as you can see right here, is 6'4". It's debatable as far as Giant Slayer goes. It will still be usable, but I think 6'1", when it comes to that Giant Slayer stuff, paired with Fearless Finisher and Acrobat and stuff, is unbelievable. Not to mention, anyway, it says 92 ball handle and 6'5" and under to unlock D-Rose signature size up since it was the best in 22 and high strength for bully. Come to find out, certain dribble moves like that aren't even in the game yet. But the D-Rose stuff, honestly, it's kind of just a victim of the game, if you ask me. Like last year, that game was so much more quick stop oriented. This game is not quite as much quick stop oriented at all and is way more about fading and just long running and stuff like that too. So regardless though, looking at the ratings, I have to kind of squint a little bit here to look at the maxes. Unfortunately, people send in these screenshots like this, but solid speed 83, 84 excel, the strength super high as well for being a 6'4", and again, that's kind of troll. That's just, so many people fell victim to the bully stuff early on in the year. I didn't though, personally. I've been a hater of this badge since day one. But either way, good close shot, good driving layup, and then 85 3-pointer. I don't even hate the build that much personally. Like the 85 steal and 86 perimeter D are good thresholds to hit for the silver glove and all the other defensive badges included. Probably didn't need this type of rebounding, but who knows, maybe this helps him box out as well at that 6'4" height. Now, to be fair, he's still a 90 overall, so he never really went and ran with the build or anything like that. So obviously that's a thing. Not to mention it says two-way point forward, so I'm assuming this is actually a small forward build, which even hurts even more because then in the rec and stuff like that, he's gonna be lined up at a bigger position as well, which is going to hurt him a lot. But again, the strength maybe carries in that factor, and not to mention the rebounding as well. Block decent at 70. I think gives bronze anchor as well, which should be a tier 2 for a 6'4" in my opinion, or at least in my belief, I should say. But yeah, I would say pretty mid build, not really the greatest or anything like that, but it's not a complete fail or anything like that. Jay Jones says that thing been deleted, which I understand as well. So now we have Valrico right here, and he says build specs and build slots show that it's day one, as you can see right here, showing at the very left right here, and got it to 99. So he actually stayed on this build quite a bit. He also says, after learning what I have since making it, I think it's still a rather solid build. If I could change anything, it'd probably be the strength stat for more standing dunk or rebounding. I wanted bully, but bully equals trash. And again, I don't want to say I told you so to a lot of people, but it is unfortunate, man, because I am a big hater of bully and was from day one as well. But anyway, 6'9", 80 speed, 75 excel, decent. Speed with ball, irrelevant as far as this build goes, so it's a little bit unfortunate it doesn't get the MJ dribble style, or just in general, it kind of hurts to have it so low. I'll tell you that much personally, because I've been playing on the little big man, and I saved speed with ball for some of my last upgrades, and it is killing me. I'm not a fan of having it so low. I'll never do that again. But anyway, 82 vert gives the pro and elite contact dunks, obviously. 82 strength, again, he tried to do for, I'm assuming, silver bully, I think is what that is. I think it has to be quite a bit higher for gold and Hall of Fame, 100%, but 91 stamina, 80 speed. The block rating being 89, it's whatever. I mean, 87 is for the silver anchor, 90 steal rating for the gold interceptor. Max that out as well for your 6'9" category, and then also 88 prim D. I like the whole prim D and steal ratings. I mean, that's what I even have on my build still to this day. 77 ball handle and 78 pass act for a badge point right here, I'm very sure of, for the pass act. And who knows what the ball handle idea was. Maybe you just wanted to be a somewhat viable offensive player, but yet still be more of a kind of semi-lockdown in a sense. Either way, the badge tiering is going to be really good on this for being 6'9" and not having a whole lot of defensive badges. So he'll still be able to get things like clamps, challenger, all types of stuff like that, glove, interceptor, everything, all at like their max levels for this height. The 82 3-pointer is kind of tough. I'm assuming maybe that was necessary to get this 99 driving dunk. Obviously 83, as we've mentioned, gives you the Agent 3 on silver, so that definitely kind of sucks to have only the 82 instead. But like I said, in retrospect, it's a lot easier to understand. 87 driving layup. I'm assuming he did that for the long athlete, but I think low-key that's still off. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't really ran long athlete in a long time, so maybe I'm incorrect, but I believe that was 88 was what was necessary to run that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I believe it's 88 though. And again, 99 driving dunk for obviously, I don't know. I mean, I've never even used a 99 driving dunk build this game. I would love to know how people feel about it, but personally I think 93 and 94 is kind of where the necessity kind of caps off at. Alright, so Wolves right here has a build that's kind of troll. Went for gold brick wall and high three-pointer. Not worth it. Missed out on quick drops. Did not think it would be that important. Abandoned after 2 or 3 weeks of play. Did not even upgrade to 99. So, as we can see, 75 driving dunk. That is tough to see as well. Obviously, the 80 layup is a decent thing to have. Not to mention he's 6'9", so he can still get some finishing badge tiering, like pretty solid between slithery and bloomless takeoff. Obviously, albeit it's just bronze on, I believe, both of them. But either way, 86 three-pointer. He has, I think, Hall of Fame Claymore off that, not to mention just in general silver limitless range on 85 as well. So that's pretty nice. Met a pass threshold that a lot of people missed early on, so I do commend him for that, but missed out on a speed with ball threshold, unfortunately. 73 speed with ball. If he could have 75, it probably would revive the build a little bit. He still gets 78 steal rating for the Silver Interceptor, not to mention 86 Primdy, which is another good threshold to hit. 87 block, once again, good threshold to hit for the Silver Anchor. Missed out on Hall of Fame Box Out Beast, but still gets Gold Rebound Chaser, so it's kind of whatever and plenty fine. The vertical, pretty bad. Again, the strength being 86, yeah, it kind of hurts a little bit probably. It probably was pretty good for box outs though. Can't really get moved too much anywhere, but 80 speed, 76 excel, 90 stamina. It's an okay build, honestly. I don't even think it's that bad, personally. It's a good multifaceted defender. I mean, you can defend yourself in the perimeter. You can defend the perimeter and the interior while still rebounding as well. With not horrible physicals, it's not great, but it's okay. I think, honestly, if he had 2 more speed with ball in this build, I think he would have just kind of dealt with it a little bit. Or, again, if he maybe just had 5 more dunk, 2 more speed with ball, it'd actually be a pretty good build, for that matter, for a day 1 build. Alright, next up, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this right here, but nonetheless, still want to showcase his build, so shout out to him. So, he showed a day 1 back end, aka power forward, for Pro-Am. So, with this, he had the 78 steal, which gives that Silver Interceptor at 6'10", which I do actually kind of like a little bit. Unfortunately, though, ended up going with 93 offensive rebound and 85 D-board. I really do think those things should be flipped a little bit when it comes to playing power forward in Pro-Am. Not to mention that he ended up 1 rating short of the Hall of Fame Box Out Beast. That, in my opinion, actually is kind of important for power forward. Not to mention, even went super heavy on the weight, so 76 speed and 70 excel is not a big deal either. But anyway, 80 vert, 89 strength as well. I think that's good for gold brick wall. I think you need 86 strength for the gold brick wall. But anyway, 79 three-pointer, solid shooting. Obviously, he's a corner spot up as far as that goes. Ended up kind of upgrading ball handle and speed with ball with this, which I don't even think is really necessary for playing the power forward at all, to be honest. And ended up with also 83 driving dunk, which is a little bit unfortunate. Falls short 1 of pro contact dunks. And I don't know. I mean, he already had the vert for it anyway, too, so it would have been nice to have that. Standing dunk, solid. Driving layup, interestingly higher than driving dunk or, standing dunk in the first place. And then close shot, 67. So it's an okay build. It's not great, not bad, but honestly just is lacking a lot of important things. And then for the finishing and shooting badge counts and stuff like that, 18, 19, 15, and 25. Alright, next up we have 3 more. We have Wurgle Blurgle is what GV calls this guy. I call him J Bleg. But anyway, we got him. Then we have Ansera right here, and then we also have Bake Boy too. So we got 3 more. So for J Bleg right here, we got day 1 build was a 3-week process. I didn't go wrong. I never make a bad build. So let's just go ahead and review this. 86 Primdy, 86 steal is what stands out to me already. You can already see he gets all the clamps, like in all that stuff categories. 86 steal as well for the silver glove, but I will say for a 6'6" to go with 74 speed kind of hurts a little bit, to be honest. He gets the pro contact dunks though, 75 vertical with 85 dunk, silver posterizer as well. Now he is 6'6", and I gotta check the badge count real quick. So 16. Okay, so he can't even get posterizer anyway, unless he cored a poster. That is possible. Maybe he cored poster on silver and then also still runs goldenless takeoff as well. I think with this finishing badge count though, it means he only runs silver fearless or silver limitless anyway. So I'm guessing the plan was that he would plan to maybe core limitless takeoff instead, but knowing what we know now, it's extremely hard to get. Either way though, 22 shooting, 24 playmaking, 25 defense. I'll have to keep that in mind. So 85 three-pointer with 81 mid, interesting for the Hall of Fame Mini Magician, and also for defense, it's okay. I mean, it's got 75 block for gold chase down and bronze anchor. It's got 73 interior D. It's okay. The defense rebound, solid as well. I think it's like silver box out beast though and no rebound chaser. Again, the speed is really the thing I hate about this the most. I don't even think it needed like super high strength either for that matter. But overall, layup, dunk, pretty solid. Three-pointer, solid. Ball handle, decent threshold to hit. I would say maybe 87 in retrospect could have been better, and also speed with ball could have been a little bit lower. But again, we all made that mistake day one for people who made guard builds. Nobody went into their guard build like lowering their speed with ball only to 75 and then just max out their acceleration or anything like that. But overall, decent build. All right, so for Ansera, we have the build was doable, but there's a lot of room for improvement. So we got 20, 22, 23, and 8 for the badge tiering. He misses out on 1 rating for some nice badge thresholds as far as this stuff goes, but at the end of the day, it's 6'6", so he can't even run things like, for instance, Challenger, clamps, anything like that. So I guess it's not even that big a deal. In general, 6'6" height, I'm seeing a lot of you guys like submit these, and it is tough to see, man, because if you had this rating right here of just 86 Primdy, if you upped it to 1 and you were 6'9", you'd be looking at literally like Challenger on gold, clamps on silver. You'd be able to run both those in tier 2. You'd just be set as far as the Primdy goes, and then boom, you could just run like silver box out beast or something like that as well. Interesting that 41, okay, so it's his strength, that's why. Okay, so that's why he gets box out beast, and I'm sure he runs it as well at that point. There's not a lot of important defensive badges right here, but anyway, overall, bad steal, missed out on the ball handling by 1 for the Hall of Fame quick first step as well. I will say, for the limitless takeoffs and the limitless ranges though, he has 85 three-pointer for the silver limitless and then 86 driving dunk for the gold limitless. So solid threshold to hit on that stuff as well. 75 standing dunk, solid. 88 driving layup, also probably once again for the long athlete, which in retrospect, again, I would pretty much advise anybody who's below 6'10" to probably just go with the 80 driving layup. He did actually put max acceleration, which is a nice little thing to have for the day 1 builds, which nobody really could have predicted either. Oh, this is really tough though. So he ended up putting his driving dunk to 86 and only has 70 vertical, so missed out on pro contact dunks. That's rough, and I'm not gonna lie to you, my man, that is a tough situation to deal with, because a lot of people were probably like explaining stuff like that from day 1 as well in the YouTube videos. So that's pretty tough. I'm gonna be real with you, that's a tough one to see. But anyway, solid stamina, and I think honestly that in general, just the speed and the vertical is something that just kills this build entirely. So I'm gonna say this is probably one of the worst builds that I've seen so far. But again, shout out to Ansera for submitting this. And lastly, we have Big Boy right here of the last one that I'm gonna showcase. Still use it to this day. Wish I went for a higher block, but speed and lateral quickness allows me to get into position easily. So personally, I don't even see this as elite speed when it comes to 6'10s in the first place. 6'10s can get, I believe, around like 79 speed or maybe even like 80, I think. It's something in that range. And as far as like the strength goes, it's decent. As far as the rebounding, it's 85. I mean, this is good for a popper though. Like, to get the silver rebound chaser is plenty enough. It's just, it kind of becomes more of a badge tiering thing. Not to mention, I just hate 6'10s for the sake of not getting clamps. Not to mention, the perk of going 6'10 is to get the standing contact dunks as well, and he doesn't even have 80 for the pros, so that's tough as well. 84 close shot, misses out on gold fast twitch. I don't know if he plans to even use that in the first place anyway though. Also 80 driving layup, not really good for anything because obviously again you have to be like 88 driving layup to even get a layup package worth anything at 6'10 and above. If you were 6'9", this would be really good. And honestly, at 6'9", this whole build would look pretty good, to be honest with you. Just maybe more Primdy. Simple as that. Maybe more steel too. But anyway, not really a big fan of this. But again, I mean, it's so easy for me to sit here and say not a big fan in retrospect and now in the future and in revision history and stuff like that. But either way, I wouldn't have been making a build like this from day 1 anyway, or even advised it. It does suck that he missed out on the pass accuracy threshold right here of 75 as well. 81 three-pointer, okay, at 6'10", I mean, it's understandable. And also, 80 ball handle for a 6'10 was a pretty solid move. It's the max you could get here, and it gives some decent dribble packages as well. So, at the end of the day, he has silver quick first step, silver unpluckable. I don't even know, I guess he probably planned to run silver unpluckable as his tier 3 and would core it. But anyway, that's all for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, for to drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, all good stuff. And like always, try to win 2,000 likes. If you would like to ever submit any clips or let's say just screenshots for these type of build videos to me, feel free to just follow me on Twitter. As you can see, it's at LakerFanYT right here. If you need the followers or anything like that for some reference, this is who I am right here on the Twitter. So feel free to check that out. If you guys are interested as well, like I said, I'll probably be trying to be continuing this Rate My Build series with different little niche title and ideas and concepts and stuff like that. So for this one, it was just day 1 builds, and I made the initial tweet asking people to submit those builds. So I would refrain please, from sending any like clips or anything like that, or any screenshots of your build, unless it's asked for and provoked, which is why following me on Twitter would be a little bit more, what's the word, more cooperative in that sense, and would work together a little bit better. But anyway, that's all video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you made it to the end of the video, put build in the comments, so to put the matter through. But anyway, that's all. Hope y'all enjoyed. Take these, man. Peace.